Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
It's the Melchester Odyssey again. And I have in my left hand 24th of March 1984 issue of Roy the Rovers. I can't quite make out. It's one of those ones where it's got the address where it was delivered to written on the front. Which as a collector I find obscene that someone's tarnished it. It's number 44. Can't make out the street.
Yeah.
No. You'd have that on your newspaper if you got your newspaper delivered. Maybe you'd have the
newspapers are much more disposable, aren't they? Really.
Yeah. Did you have a paper around, Sam, when you were younger?
I did the free ones for a while, but not for the news agents. Yeah, there was there'd be like the local, like, something like West London Advertiser or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But we, it didn't last because me and my mates all got in on it and we'd dump them, we'd dump them somewhere.
In the canal.
Yeah, and in the end you just get found out.
Yeah.
So,
capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a paper round, but you had to write on, I think I had to write on the front of each paper on a morning because it was different newspapers. In the evening, it was just the Sunderland Echo that I used to deliver.
Yeah.
Although a couple of people will get the Newcastle Evening Chronicle.
Oh, yeah. I think that's quite well known, isn't it? That's quite a well-known newspaper.
The Evening Chronicle? Yeah. My gran always used to read the Evening Chronicle. I mean, she
it's a well-respected newspaper, isn't it?
Yeah. She lived nowhere near Newcastle, but she would never, ever visit Sunderland. But she would go through to Newcastle on the bus once a week with her friend Sadie.
Oh, yeah. Good old Sadie.
They'd have a mooch about Eldon Square shopping centre in Newcastle, but she never went to Sunderland. She was above.
Why?
I think she just thought she was above it. She thought Newcastle was better. And she used to read the Evening Chronicle.
Yeah, but, it's a good newspaper from what I know of it. I was on the milk rounds, wasn't I, with Archie? That was my thing.
Oh, of course you were. Yeah.
I was a milk boy. I was a milk boy more than a paper boy. Different vibe, whole different scene, mate. Because when you were a milk boy, you were operating with adult milkmen. Yeah,
adult products. Yeah.
And there was the greasy spoon at the button quite near my mum's house that they'd all go to, like midway through your rounds, start very early, and then midway through go, right, we stop, and we'd go to this cafe, and the cafe was called, and I'm not joking, it was a proper old-fashioned grease spoon. The cafe was called The Beaver.
Oh, let's go to The Beaver now.
Yeah, and we go in, and it stunk of milk, because in there would just be loads of milkmen and loads of milk boys. Now, there's another greasy spoon across the street, which is still there to this day, and I sometimes go there and take the kids. Right. It's one of the last remaining old-school greasy spoons. It's just like it was in the 80s. That was called the Ritz. But the Ritz... That was... I think that's where the posties went. So I think they were like rival calves, right? It was only milkmen in the Beaver. And in the Beaver, there was a smell of milk. And there'd be the milkmen and the milk boys, and I'd go in, and you'd feel like a bit like, when you go to football when you're young, and you might be with your dad. In my case, it would have been with my mate's dad, and you go into the pub for the first time, and you're small, so all you see is like waist up and lots of gruff talk. And in those days, there would have been a lot of cigarette smoke and the smell of beer, and it was sort of like exciting but a bit scary. Yeah, that's what it was like in the Beaver.
So what age were you doing the milk round?
8 or 9. Like, wow. Yeah. And then
like child labour. That's like chimney sweep shit.
Yeah. And he goes, the one thing I remember the first time I went to the Beaver, we go, come on, we're going to the Beaver we're away for our breakfast. So we go into the Beaver, right? And I'm thinking, I was a right greedy little cunt. I'm thinking, I wonder what I can have. Shall I have fried eggs and bacon? Shall I have a nice sausage? But before I can fucking order, I've got all these different orders in my eyes. He goes, 2 scrambled eggs, please, Betty. Right? And I realised that all of the milkmen and all of their milk boys all had scrambled eggs on toast.
What?
And it was not questioned. I was not asked what I would have. That's what I was fucking having, because we were men of milk. And men of milk all ordered the same breakfast. And here's the other thing that I remember. When it arrived, he picked up the brown bottle of brown sauce, and without saying anything, Archie squirted some on his plate next to his eggs, and then without asking me, squirted some on my plate. Now, at that age, I would have never really had brown sauce. I thought brown sauce was I don't know about you, but I just sort of thought of it as a grown-up sauce.
Oh, disgusting at that age, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have thought that's for grown-ups. That's weird. If I'm having sauce, it's going to be red. And he just
it's all
said,
spicy. Oh,
yeah, it's rather tart, Archie, don't you think? Mum says I'm not to have anything tart this early in the morning, as it will upset my stomach. Well, your mum's not here now, is she? You get that down, you boy. Well, I can tell you, Mother shall be hearing of this. Actually, it's great.
You keep your fucking mouth shut, laddie.
It's tart, but tasty, I must admit. But he's like, you don't have red sauce on scrambled eggs. On scrambled eggs, you just have brown sauce. As if, that's just a known fact. And I did have it, and I loved it. And for years, that was just a staple. It was the one thing that after Archie left for Jersey, right, and disappeared forever, it's the one thing that stayed with me. You know, a part of Archie was always in my life. So whenever I had scrambled eggs on toast, I'd always have it with HP.
Yeah. Wow.
Memories of the Beaver Cafe.
I wonder why they all had scrambled eggs.
Just seemed to be the thing.
Weird. But you mix a bit of milk in, don't you, when you have scrambled eggs?
Maybe that's it.
I know you do it.
Although, side note, I've stopped doing that. I mean, I make scrambled eggs probably 2 or 3 times a week. We have scrambled eggs a lot in this house. Yeah. And I saw someone on Twitter. This is how suggestible I am. I saw someone on Twitter. I don't even know who they are. Saying, and all the tweet said was, "Stop fucking putting milk in your scrambled eggs, idiots." So I have done.
Are they better?
I don't think they need to be milky. There's a Richards. I once watched a video of it was Gordon Ramsay on Jonathan Ross's chat show years ago, right? And he went, and Jonathan Ross said to him, "All right, you're such a good cook. Show us how you cook scrambled eggs." Right? That's my Jonathan Ross impression.
It's good.
Come and show us how you can cook scrambled eggs then. Right, and it was immense. I mean, you can imagine Gordon Ramsay. Say what you like about him, right?
Yeah,
he can cook. What he does is he scrambles up the eggs. He didn't put milk in either. I think that's a bit of an English thing, right? And then he goes it on a low to medium heat, so they cook through quite gently. And I remember him saying the key thing is people put butter in the pan first, right? And it gets all bubbly, maybe even semi-burnt, and then you add the eggs into it, and the hot butter kind of cooks the eggs very quickly, right? What you're supposed to do is put the eggs into a non-stick pan very, very slowly. Then you put the butter in, and I can tell you put quite a lot in, which is fine by me. I mean, my attitude is the more butter, the better in anything, right? I
mean, that's a slogan there. The more butter, the better.
Yeah, I think Salmon Rusty made that up, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he put in the butter just when they're, say, 60%. You think the eggs are 60 to 70% there, Andy? Chuck the butter in, and the cold butter slows down the cooking, because you want to take the eggs off the heat when they look not quite cooked. Because for the few moments afterwards, when they're off the heat, they're in the hot pan, they continue to harden anyway. And you don't really want hard scrambled eggs, do you? And so that's a little tip that I got off Gordon Ramsay. Throw the butter in towards the end. It melts, makes it nice and buttery, but it also cools the eggs somewhat so they don't overcook. and you get a lovely rich butteriness. Now, the other thing that he does, which I might do once or twice a year, like if it's someone's birthday or Christmas, but he does it every day because he's Gordon Ramsay. He chucked in a spoonful of creme fraiche at the end.
Whoa,
yeah.
Posh cunt.
Yeah, but I mean that's very decadent, isn't it?
You could chuck in some of that new Ambrosia deluxe custard.
You could put custard in your eggs. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, it's.
We're going to try and test on Friday.
It's custard eggs.
No, the custard itself. We're going to do a taste test on Friday.
Oh, can't wait for that. I might film that at my end.
I recorded a new episode of Bob yesterday, and he's had some last week. It came up in that episode as well.
The verdict.
He's had, thumbs up. Yeah, he had it with a small golden syrup pudding. And his only regret was that the golden syrup pudding wasn't big enough.
Well, he probably had to fill up on extra custard instead.
Yeah.
Are we going to taste test it against anything else? Like another type of custard? We're just going to literally eat some custard. Okay. Yeah. That sounds good to me. But anyway, that's scrambled eggs. So take it or leave it, but that's the Gordon Ramsay scrambled eggs scenario. And that's scrambled eggs in the 80s at the Beaver Cafe, sadly no longer with us.
Scrambled eggs after we finish recording this for lunch. Now, I've got a taste for it.
Try it out.
Let's get back to this Roy the Rovers issue. Right across the top it says Super Manchester City Star in sign please. So it doesn't tell us who it is.
Paul Power.
Paul Power. You've just gone straight in there. Yeah. 1984 Paul Power. I could get you to do 57 guesses
and I still wouldn't get it.
And you would not get it.
Okay, go on.
You can have two more if you want.
80s Man City players. Quite hard. Who was that one who scored for them in 1981 Cup final? Was it Mackenzie?
Tommy Hutchison.
Oh, Tommy Hutchison, that's it.
Or Steve Mackenzie.
Steve Mackenzie.
Nah, look, I'll put you out of your misery. It's Derek Parlane.
Never fucking heard of him.
Exactly. What?
Looks like a nice
star
bloke.
At the front.
Looks like a nice bloke.
Yeah, he seems reasonable.
Lovely head of hair.
Yeah. Best of luck to him. But not what you'd regard as a star. Anyway, on with the story. It's a good front cover. It's got some action on it. You'd pick this up if you were an occasional peruser of Roy the Rovers. Roy Race's sensational prophecy. Whew, fucking hell. Going in hard. Sensational prophecy that neither he nor Rob Richards would score against Carford City in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup seemed about to come true. This is like when someone has a fight but they only decide to use one arm. Or when Ronnie O'Sullivan decides he's going to win a frame of snooker but just using his left hand.
Yeah.
He's kind of said, right, we're going to beat Carford, but I tell you what, I'm not scoring, neither's that little cunt. Next question. We're still going to do it. It seemed they'd be about to come true. Although Rovers were leading 2-0, Melchester's twin strikers had failed to find the net. So Roy is on the edge of the box. There's a line of defenders in front of him. The crowd are there behind the goal. Roy and Rob have been heavily marked, but I can't believe that neither of them will score. Come on, Racy, beat your man. And he does. He takes it around the outside of the defender, and he's got a big grin on his face as he does it. I love that. I love when he does that. Fuck it. Have some of that, you twat. The defender goes, oof! That's better. Roy's really going for goal this time. Well, I mean, he's not, because he's down the wing. I don't know if he's going to try and cut inside and score, but let's see what happens when we turn over into the colour pages. He's still got the ball. He's got another two defenders closing in on him. But as we said there, he's on the wing, so he's thinking the goal's at too sharp an angle. And here comes Kurt Gruber. Kurt Gruber, of course, the Dortmund of Hammer. And
the Hammer of Dortmund.
The founding father of the Hitler Youth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. They're using his full name again, so they haven't realised. It's just unfortunate. Here comes Kurt Gruber. I'm drawing him out of the middle again. Oh, look what he does. Tell us what he does next, Sam.
He fucking nutmegs Kurt Gruber, which is a huge insult to him. And he does it with a massive grin on his face. Ach!
It's just, which, of course, is short for Achtung.
Ich bin nutmegged.
It been stitched up like Einkipper.
Das ist not eine Booby.
To be fair, Gruber stood there with his legs half a mile wide apart.
Fucking ask him for it. He looks like he's playing stuck in the mud.
Yeah. Roy thinks Roy thinks what you might call a throw ball.
Right through your fucking legs, you fucking German twat.
That's right, I've still got time to crack the gags while I'm creating goals.
In me head. Can't be bothered saying them out loud. Waste of energy. Think them to myself. No one else deserves the laughs.
And the ball goes straight through to Blackie Gray, who's on the edge of the 6-yard box, who just knocks it straight past the keeper. Blackie Gray, yes! 3-0! And of course there's our favourite celebration, which is of course Wahoo!
Wahoo!
Have you found yourself singing that at
Yeah, I said it last night. I was
West
up
Ham?
in Derby, West Ham last night. We won 2-0. I said wahoo twice.
Wahoo.
Got some
Both
funny
goals.
looks, I must admit. Mm-hmm. But it didn't
It'll
bother me.
catch on.
Yeah.
It'll catch on. The Melchester fans, although delighted, were also a little surprised. Jimmy Slade got the first, Neville Jones the second, and Blackie Gray the third. And they're all midfield players. Oh, yeah. Man, that's what Roy said would happen. He said he wasn't going to score. Rob Richards wasn't going to score. Yet our two top goal scorers haven't had a look in, and Roy doesn't seem a bit worried about it. And there's Roy and Rob Richards together, celebrating the goal. They seem to be best pals now. Roy's not worried because he hasn't scored, which is fair enough. You can see why he would be. It's his reason for existing, isn't it? Scoring goals. There's not a selflessness from Roy Race, but there has been in this match. And then we cut to square-headed Carford City manager Dennis Blair, who's got his head up against his hand is up against his forehead in despair. It says Dennis Blair, the City manager, was suddenly very worried. He should be very worried. He's 3-0 down. He says, "Tell me, Norman, am I one of the most experienced football managers in the game, or aren't I?" Next to him is Norman, who is, of course, his number 2, who is wearing a green tracksuit, and as we described last week, nothing else underneath. Norman is a pervert. No, Norman says, I guess so, boss. And of course, last week, Dennis Blair was trying to work out what was going on. He was saying that Melchester had beaten us, but I don't understand how.
Yeah, and everyone else could fucking see. Yeah, clear as the nose on your face.
It's pretty obvious. So Dennis Blair perhaps is having some kind of breakdown, I don't know. Norman, all Norman can think about is how beautiful the tracksuit feels against his genitalia. Trying to suppress his erection. Which to him is part of the thrill. I'll get off or not get it off, if you know what I mean, Mr.
Sometimes
Blair.
I go out and I tape my penis to my inner thigh and I play a little game with myself, see? If the tape breaks, I have failed.
It's very thin medical tape.
A slightly fabric quality to it. You know the sort. Oh yeah, soft to the touch.
Which in itself must be the old.
So you
part
can
of the
see
problem.
there is a lot of jeopardy in this little game I play. A game of cat and mouse between me and my own genitalia. My own loins. I have a Mexican standoff with my own loins every day. It's happening right now as I talk to you. Secretly, always operating in the background.
And I walk around the Tesco while I do it. But it's in the evening. It's very quiet.
I try to keep it away from my responsibilities in the football arena.
Dennis Blair says, "So why couldn't I see what Roy was up to? He's allowed us to become so obsessed with the danger of himself and Richards, our players have been chasing around after the two of them like a bunch of sheep, leaving the midfield guys to come through the gaps. Well, he's finally worked it out. He's got... I mean, look at that picture. Roy, it might be Rob, it's a blonde footballer, I don't know which one it is knocking the ball into the centre to what looks like Noel Baxter, sorry. And there's 4 defenders on him. There's 4 defenders on
him. I have no sympathy whatsoever for Dennis Blair because the tactics are absurd. They've got 4 on fucking Roy, and then over the other side they've got 3 on Richards. That's 7 players out of 11. 7 players out of 10 outfield players surrounding 2 of theirs.
That leaves them with 3 outfield players covering the other 8 Melchester players.
So Dennis Blair, outthinking Dennis Blair is not particularly difficult, clearly.
This is like that time when, towards the end of Ruud Gullit's reign at Chelsea, I can't remember who they were playing, but they were losing at half-time, and it was somebody talked about it, one of the players talked about it later on. Gullit went into the showers at half-time and started ranting and raving. I think he might have banged his head off the shower a couple of times. And he said he was going to go out with 2 defenders in the second half.
It was a threat, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was the end for him. He'd gone. And shortly after that, he ended up at Newcastle.
And things didn't go well for him there either. He fell out with Shearer, didn't he?
He fell out with Shearer, put Shearer on the bench against Sunderland. Sunderland won 2-1. The pissing rain.
Shearer was fuming.
Shearer and Duncan Ferguson, both on the bench that
If there was one thing that Shearer demanded in all of his activities, it was complete respect.
Yeah.
At all times from everyone.
Yeah. A benign compliance. From management.
Jalapeño.
Noel Baxter. Noel Baxter is a full-back, and indeed he is, and Noel Baxter just slots the ball past the keeper to make it 4-0.
It's always quite exciting to see a full-back score, isn't it? It happens like maybe once or twice a season. Well, unless you've got one of those super full-backs. Like there was a time when Julian Dix was consistently West Ham's top scorer every year. So sometimes you get those kind of full-backs, Stuart Pearce, But on the whole, they're not known for their goal-scoring feats. So it's quite exciting when one of them does score.
And that's what's happened here. But it's sadly marred by Noel Baxter's idiot child face, caked in glee as he scores. The only sad bit about this is that he doesn't go wahoo.
Yeah.
Someone's already done it earlier on. This seems prime wahoo.
Quite surprising for a gobshite like Noel Baxter to just celebrate silently.
Yeah, the celebration comes from elsewhere in the crowd. Yes! Another fan says, "Oh, sorry, I do apologise. It's not a fan. It's one of the defenders. This is crazy. We're marking Race and Richards out of the game and getting a thrashing." Another one says, "Hey, look, the boss is signalling something." And he is signalling something. He's got 2 arms outstretched in the air, fingers pointed, which means, according to another Carford player, he wants us to get back to a man-for-man marking system. Seems reasonable. I mean, the 4-0 down.
Yeah, you got to change something. I mean, it's damage limitation situation at the moment.
You've got to abandon what we can only describe as the 7-for-2 marking system that they've deployed.
Just keep on with the 7-for-2. It's Dutch.
It'll turn. The game will turn. Don't worry. For a while, Carford's new tactics worked reasonably well. Fan shouts. You're doing fine, City. What?
Who's this lad, this Rovers player who's getting tackled here? I don't recognise him at all.
I'm not sure. Is he not Glenn Ritchie, maybe?
Never seen
Possibly.
him.
It's probably just the angle that his head's at. You're doing fine, City. Rovers haven't scored for at least 10 minutes. Ha ha! Sarcasm there. Then...
the repartee of the terraces. There's nothing quite like it.
Yes.
The salty humour of the common football fan.
We have a knowledgeable crowd. I hear that.
Real
knowledgeable
football
crowd.
people.
Yeah. Oh, fuck off. Then someone takes a throw in straight to Rob Richards and shouts, "Rob Richards!" Oh, there's some advertising horns. Are there any names on them? Don't think there are. No. Rob's got a little more freedom. Only one man marking him now. You mean there was? And he just ducks. Rob Richards selflessly ducks, and the ball bounces into the path of Roy Race. Beautiful dummy! And Rob shouts, "Yours, Roy!" And Roy gives him it straight back. Oh, this is almost fucking sexual, this. Go for it, Rob.
You little
in between
cunt.
the two defenders. Yeah. Over onto the fourth page. And of course, Rob Richards scores. Kind of spoils the prediction, I think, that Roy had made, that neither of them would score. Took the shine off it for me.
Yeah.
5-0, Richards has scored. And in the closing minutes, Rob nods it into the path of Racy, who of course scores. Rob set it up for Racy, and it's there.
Bang.
So what's that? 6-0 at Carford.
Yeah. Night, cunts. Sleep tight.
If you can.
Sweet dreams, fuckers.
As the full-time whistle brought Carford's torment to an end, Roy got it wrong. Those last two goals blew his prophecy to pieces.
Prophecy. Superb.
I'd like a refund. I came for the prophecy.
Incorrect prophecy. Error. Inaccuracy.
This could be the beginning of the end for Roy Race. And of course someone says, "What prophecy? It was a double bluff for the benefit of Dennis Blair." Dennis Blair shakes Roy's hand very magnanimously. "Something tells me you've talked your way into the semi-finals, Roy," he says. "I am so very, very, very stupid." Roy says, "Plus a little help from my teammates, Dennis. Thanks for taking it so well." He said, "What a thrashing. I doubt if any of the remaining clubs will hold any figures for you now, Racy." Roy says, "Only one." I get a close-up of Roy looking very serious. He says, "Walford. Fuck. The club that lured me away from the Rovers. If they get through today and we're drawn against them in the semi-finals, it could be a little tricky for personal reasons." And they're in the dressing room afterwards, looking at the telly, watching the results coming through. Noel Baxter says, "Roy, the other cup results are just coming through." Blackie says, "And guess who's made it into the semi-finals?" Now we see a close-up of the TV screen. It just says FA Cup quarter-finals, East Stoke 1, Walford 2.
Uh-oh. It was bound. It was written in the stars, wasn't it?
That's where it ends. It says next week Melchester find out who they've drawn in the semi-finals. Ooh, I wonder who it's going to be.
It's written in the fucking stars. And I hope this could mean the return of, what's his name, the Walford owner.
Oh, Harvey Rawson.
And so, Roy,
Yeah.
we meet again.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what it does. On the opposite page, it says, next week, Arsenal's Stuart Robson in colour. That's fine.
Oh, Stuart Robson, he played for West Ham.
Yeah. And a warning for Roy. Walford's Joe Bellamy is gunning for Rovers skipper.
Oh, yeah, Joe Bellamy, that cunt.
The club cunt. There
Club
he is.
cunt Joe Bellamy. I want you, Roy. I want your belts. I'm going to scalp you.
And it says Joe Bellamy had lost the captaincy of Walford when Roy took over the club, and Joe Bellamy saying, "It's too much of a coincidence. I reckon he's scared to come back here as a player anyway, because he knows our lads still resent the way he walked out on us."
Me personally, I didn't like the way he walked in or walked out. He couldn't win. Harvey Rawson's like, "I've missed you, Roy. Yeah, the constant reminder I have of the stain from your ejaculate in the house I lent you for your stay here in Walford. Strangely,
All of that.
an ejaculate stain in the exact shape of Jesus Christ, our Saviour. That's right. It's like the Turin fucking shroud. The Turin fucking spunk, more like.
All of that candid footage from the hidden cameras. I still have that. You didn't know about that, did you, Roy? Yeah, fucking did, actually.
Maybe
Not bothered.
I did. Yeah. Little treat me.
Do with it?
Little fucking farewell gift. That's in my arse. Go like the fucking clappers, son.
Yeah. Go public with it. Everyone will be impressed at my prowess.
I'm going like a fucking pneumatic drill, son.
And then on the Roy Race Talking page, which is where readers write in with requests for information and such like, and we have the chart of they voted what their favourite story is and everything. We've got one of those occasions when Roy completely dismantles a suggestion from a child and just rips him apart.
Sometimes Roy's just not in the mood, is he?
Sometimes he's just not in the mood, and this is one of those occasions.
Yeah.
This is on the talking page itself. Mark Tiernan has sent in a letter, and the headline at the top just says "Scrap Talking." So that's a bit cannibalistic. Mark Tiernan, who lives in Titchfield Common, Hampshire. We're not going to try and find it if he still lives there or dox him or anything like that. It's not that important. He says, Mark Tiernan says, I enjoy your magazine, but a couple of changes would, in my opinion, improve it. For instance, scrap the talking and replace it with a player profile page and one of football news gathered throughout the week. Also, cut Go for Goal to one page and fill the gap with readers' letters consisting of short letters and inquiries about football and or the comic. And then Roy's reply.
Do you think Roy's clicked his fingers out like this, stretched his fingers out before he started typing his reply?
Leaned back in his chair. The talking deals with readers' letters about football and my comic, Mark. Go for Goal is often reduced to a page, but always looks more impressive over two. Football news gathered throughout a week would be out of date by the time an issue was printed, and as regards a player profile, it is something that other publications have been doing for ages. Besides, almost every week there is a rundown on a player past or present. Take a look elsewhere on these pages. There's more to come in the future too. It's a popular part of my weekly column. Now, with all due respect, Mark, get fucked.
Go fuck yourself. Go and read fucking Whizzer and Chips, you fucking baby.
Fucking hell. Roy.
Unbelievable.
Jesus. So that's that. That's great. And then on the back page, another new magazine or comic is launched, Sam. We had, I forgot what it was called now, that spooky one that came out. It was a Scream or something like that.
Yeah, someone sent us that, I think on Twitter or in an email, that they are available on eBay.
They're on eBay. I found a link where someone scanned them all and put them all online.
Oh, have you read any? Is it as scary as we imagined?
Too scary.
No, too scary, yeah.
I haven't looked at it. So, but this new one is, get a load of that, Freestyle BMX magazine.
Yes. Yeah, so this was big. I mean, I did get BMX magazines around this time. It was just like all you could think about in 1984, really, wasn't it? Breakdancing and BMXing. Those were the two big things.
Issue number 1, available on Friday, March 23rd, featuring Britain's only professional BMX riders, Mike Pardon and Andy Preston.
Mike Pardon?
Names from the past there. Yeah, Mike Pardon. Beg Mike Pardon.
Beg Mike Pardon. Yeah, Mike Pardon. Nickname, Beg.
Andy Preston, nickname North End. 50 pence at your local newsagent. So it says, go for it. And then at the top it says radical action at its best.
Ooh.
And it's just been letter setted on. And it's not even straight. I mean, radical action 1984 to me doesn't suggest BMX biking.
No,
it's just
sounds like going on a fucking picket line with Scargill and the lads.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the IRA attack on the Grand Hotel in Brighton.
Could be that. There was a lot of shit going down, wasn't there?
Not doing a wheelie.
I think that the thing about the BMX magazines was I'd get them because everyone was into BMXs. But then when you got them, you weren't interested because how much? At the end of the day, don't take this the wrong way, BMX fans, because I still have a soft spot for BMXs. But at the end of the day, they are just a bike. It's just a bike. So how could you fill a whole magazine with compelling content
They'd
just
always
about
be underwhelming, wouldn't
bike?
They?
It's a
you'd have
bike.
pictures of people doing wheelies or jumps.
Yeah, and then there might be
adverts.
stuff about new equipment. They might go, here's a new type of fucking, wheels you can get, or a new grip. And then there'd be an interview with someone who's probably quite boring BMX rider, like, what's the best stunt you've ever done on a... Oh, well, I did a double 360 once. Yeah, fucking prove it, mate. Right? No one was there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I did
Billy
do it.
bullshit stuff.
It was in my mum's garden. And, it's a hard thing to make... BMXing is exciting when you're actually out on the BMX.
When doing it.
But even then... You'd see things on TV or whatever of them doing these most outrageous stunts on the BMXs, and you think, God, these bikes are great. Then you'd get your own BMX, and me personally, I would just go, yeah, BMX guys have a lot of fun. Come on, it's time for me to BMX. And I'd go, bye, Mum, I'm just going out on my BMX. And I'd just ride along the pavement, just booting along on it in a straight line. Ride. Stop to cross road.
Yeah.
Wheel it across the road, ride, and I'd go to this park near my mum's, and it's the park that I used to hide in the bushes in. Mm-hmm. You'll remember me talking about it. And
nothing weird about that.
Right around it was a square, and there was a concrete path around the square. And in the concrete path, I don't know how this happens, Andy, but when there's like a concrete path, but weirdly there's sort of bumps and eruptions in the concrete.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that like mini earthquakes or something? Do you know what I mean?
It's maybe like the path hasn't set properly, and maybe there's been hot weather when they've put it down and melted or shifted.
Quite a large bump, but not large enough for me to count myself as a skilled BMXer. And that was as skillful as it got me. I would ride around this square, like again and again, 10 times. And occasionally I'd go over the bump, jump! Like the wheels would leave the ground by like maybe 5 inches maximum.
Same.
Jump!
I was
BMX stunt alert!
Yeah, I was completely unable to do a wheelie. I was just too terrified of falling backwards.
I didn't even fucking try. So I'd get this bike because it was like a stunt bike and you'd be really into it, but then all I would do was just ride around in straight lines for a little bit and then come home. I've just been out BMXing, mother.
But that's okay.
Do you mean riding your fucking bike? No, I mean BMXing. It's different. It's more action-packed.
And the one thing that you can't do when you're riding a BMX around and doing stunts is read a magazine. So,
They didn't last,
pointless.
did they? They didn't last. But in those days, any hobby someone would launch a magazine about. Because, I think in the 70s there was loads of karate magazines, wasn't there? I think that's how Felix Dennis actually got started. He spotted he spotted the craze for karate and kung fu in the 70s, and he said, right, let's knock a load of fucking magazines out.
I wonder if there's a karate podcast.
Do you remember when Felix Dennis claimed in an interview that he'd murdered someone just to impress a female journalist?
Yeah. There was like a full investigation, wasn't there?
Don't mess with me. I'll kill you. I killed someone before. Really? Have you? Yeah. Pushed him off a cliff. Next question.
It was in The Observer, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. I had a lot of friends who were working at that company at the time, and they got a message round the company saying if anyone calls and asks anything about our proprietor, put the phone down straight away. A lot of journalists will be calling the office today. Because everyone's just calling up the office going, are you aware that your boss has just confessed to murdering someone? He's confessed on record to a national news journalist to pushing a human off a cliff. It's like 100% fiction. But he thought this bird was going to get off with him because in his mind he thought that's what impressed ladies. He was really pissed. He's like, oh, fuck hell. I've got to say something to her. I've got to pull out the big guns. I know. I'm going to tell her that I murdered someone.
Murder confession.
Activate murder confession. He said that his story, I mean, I can't do it justice because it's the way it's worded, because she printed it verbatim. His story was that he had this lady friend and a bloke was giving her shit, like an ex-boyfriend was giving her shit and wouldn't leave her alone. So he said, so in the end, I called the bloke and arranged to meet him to straighten it all out. And I arranged to meet him on a cliff top. Yeah. Let's have a get-together, chat this through. Do you know Beachy Head? Yeah, just meet me there, quite near the edge. Anyway, bye. Anyway, and I turned out and I told him to back off, and he said he wouldn't, so I just pushed him off the fucking cliff.
I've got the quote here. He hurt her, and I told him to stop, and he kept on. Pushed him over the edge of the cliff. He wouldn't let her alone. She told him to stop. I told him to stop. Many people told him to stop. Wouldn't stop. Kept on and on and on. Made her life a living misery. Beat her up. Beat up her kids. So in the end, I had a little meeting with him. Pushed him off the edge of a cliff. Weren't hard. Asked did the alleged killing take place in the Caribbean, where he owned a number of properties. He replied, don't matter where it was. When he was asked about the date, he said, about 25 years ago.
Next question.
The following day, Dennis phoned the journalist to say she should forget one particular episode I recounted to you after the third or fourth bottle.
What art? I mean, the geezer is he's like he's a journalist by background, and then he owned a huge fucking publishing journalistic organ. So you would have thought he, of all people, you wouldn't be worried about what he would say or not say in the presence of a journalist who had a tape recorder on the table. I did make the press person goes, Mr. Dennis, did it all go okay? Yeah, I think it'll good. I think she'll give me a positive write-up. And any problems at all?
On the front cover.
No, it was all pretty straightforward. There was one bit where I did confess to a murder what I'd done, but I can't see her including that in the piece. Can you? It would be unfair. Because I think she could tell that was supposed to be off record. Plus, as well, it's not true anyway. I mean, I was just saying it because I thought it might, get her hot, so to speak.
Felix Dennis is probably worthy of a deep dive because, as it says in the opening paragraph of this piece I'm looking at, he has been jailed for obscenity, overcome an enthusiastic addiction to crack cocaine, and become a best-selling poet. But has he also killed a man? Brilliant.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Brilliant. Right, he's the Roy Racer Publishing, wasn't he?
He really was, yeah. He really definitely was.
Right, that's it from this one. Back with more next week and the return of Joe Bellamy. Lovely stuff. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.